Always got something.
Call to order the Kearney R-1 Board of Education meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey.
Here.
Brian Ham.
Here.
Dan Holloway.
Here.
John Kern.
Here.
Bruce Schweitzer. Here. Susan Morman.
Here.
Mark Kelly.
Here. Quorum being present, entertain motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Move that the agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have public comment. We have one presenter tonight, Michelle Dickerson. Like to come forward.
Good evening, my name is Michelle Dickerson and I have 3 children in the district at 3 different schools. I had sent an email earlier this week in regards to my concerns about who is going to be put in the leadership roles of the school board. In my research, there are currently 3 board members that have ran unopposed. One of those has ran 3 times and did run against other candidates in 2 out of the 3 elections. The other 2 ran unopposed in both situations. Everyone else on the board did have other candidates they ran against and were voted in by the community. In the past, we the parents weren't paying as close attention to the decisions being made by the board. That is our fault and shame on us. We should have been involved in the things that were being voted on. We should have been here and we need to take responsibility for those choices. Things have changed and COVID has brought to light many things happening around the country and made parents realize that we do need to participate and know the decisions that are being made for our kids. The recent election showed what the community wants. Over 79% has chosen the type of leadership that we want on our school board. Instead of doing what you want, you need to do what the community wants. As I mentioned in my email, it is really unfortunate that we as the parents don't have an actual vote for these important roles. The majority of you were voted in by the community to be a leader for what we want for our children. There are some of you that have children in the district for years to come and others that are at the end of your children's education. Regardless of where you are on the spectrum or if you even fit on it, you have many responsibilities and volunteer your time, which does not go unnoticed. However, one of your main responsibilities is to listen and speak on behalf of the parents. I am asking not only for myself, but I'm asking on behalf of the majority of voters for you to put the type of individuals that we want in these positions. Thank you and congrats.
Thank you. Next, we have recognitions. First, we have the broadcast yearbook staff. Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you for inviting us tonight to recognize these students for their excellent work over the last year. Here are some of the members of the 2021 Cooper Yearbook staff, and I show them because I'm about to list some of the awards that they won. These students overcame several challenges in order to complete last year's book: hybrid scheduling, Wednesday virtual days, COVID-19 pandemic with its quarantine, students' absences, and some students online. They learned that not all students answer emails when you email them. Many of them came in during yearbook hours on the virtual days of hybrid scheduling as well as their regular days. And with all of that, the Cooper Yearbook was recognized as a CSPA Crown finalist and then selected for a Silver Crown. This is the second CSPA Silver Crown for the Cooper Yearbook in the last 3 years. This award is one of the top 2 that students can earn for journalism in the nation. The other is an NSPA pacemaker, and these students won it 2 out of the last 3 years. With their CSPA Silver Crown, they also earned a spot in Walsworth's President's Collection, which is reserved for those schools that earn those top 2 awards. They also earned a Walsworth Gallery of Excellence, which includes only the top 5% of about 4,000 yearbooks printed by Walsworth each year. When we were at Nationals this past week, we took a group of 9 students. These staff members, Ryan, if you want to move forward just a little bit, they can see some of these pictures. These staff members, they got to celebrate at Walsworth, seeing their book in the President's Collection. Go ahead. They got to celebrate at Nationals, getting to be recognized for their President's Collection and their CSBA Silver Crown. They also were highlighted, you want to go, yeah, that one. They were highlighted for their theme coverage in the Walsworth Possibilities book, which is a book that Walsworth prints and hands out to schools across the nation with great examples of books in it. And they also, for the first time ever, earned an NSPA All-American rating, which means the book earned marks of distinction on all the categories. That's one of the highest recognitions you can get as well. We also received the highest rating that you can get of All-Columbian from CSPA as well. In addition to that, if you want to go to BBN, the picture right here. In addition to that, Broadcasting Kids and Yearbook Kids, we went to state a couple weeks ago. And we came back, I'm sorry, Nationals is the one we're going to talk about next. Go ahead. At Nationals last week, the Clipper Yearbook earned Best of Show 4th place. And then several students earned individual awards. So some of you guys want to go ahead and start coming up here. Dante DiStefano earned an individual national award for Broadcast News Story. John Reinhardt for Broadcast Sports Story. Kaylin Higgins for Yearbook Copy Caption Student Life. And Dylan McElwee for Broadcast Anchoring. So these kids on the national level earned awards in those categories. Level, we also had several students who were really successful. Go to the next. Just kind of flow through these. The Clipper Yearbook staff for the 2021 yearbook earned All-State, All-Missouri. This is the best award you can win in the state. Go ahead. Eric Stokes is our executive producer for BBN, and our BBN live sports broadcast team earned All-Missouri as well. Mackenzie Nelson earned All-Missouri for sports photography. Eric Stokes, All-Missouri for sports features and who did about trap shooting. All-Missouri for Shelby Singleton, come on up, for her broadcast news feature. All-Missouri for our yearbook staff. This is one of our spreads that you'll see in the book about homecoming this year. Kaylin Higgins is editor-in-chief for that. All-Missouri for Kaylin, also for Student Life Organization photo. This is a play from the musical this year. A photo of the musical. Kaylin, oh yeah, thanks, I'm glad that you do. Superior yearbook writing for Kaylin Higgins as well. Superior for Kaylin for a Student Life Organization photo of the homecoming parade. Superior for Mackenzie Nelson for sports feature reaction photo. Superior for our KHS TV staff for their production, their daily show that they do. Superior for broadcast news feature for Dante DiStefano. Excellent for JT Perry. Well, not JT. He won excellent for yearbook writing in his story about the musical. Excellent, Mackenzie Nelson for a photo. This is from Homecoming Dance. Excellent for sports feature reaction photo from football game, Kaylin Higgins. Excellent broadcast news feature, Nick Cypher. He couldn't be here tonight still. Honorable mention, live sports broadcast talent. So these are the kids who are actually talking during our broadcast, John Reinhardt and Dante DiStefano. That's it. So a slew of awards for kids who do great work. So thank you.
Kind of group together. We're going to take a picture in front of the K. Johnson.
Okay, I'm gonna get your picture. Don't run away. We got a family that wants a picture too. Okay.
Also, take a picture. You gotta open them up. Show them the certificate, please.
Yeah, did I not name Ethan? Ethan, Kaylee, these are all kids who were part of either the broadcast as a producer. Kaylee last year for the book last year as one of our editors.
Give me those good smiles. Awesome. Very good. Parents?
Aaron? All right. Chelsea Caldwell. Okay. Chelsea Caldwell.
Yeah, I'm Kelsey Caldwell. I am a science and PLTW teacher at the high school. This was my first year as head sponsor for HOSA, which is a student group for students who have an interest in the medical field. So it stands for Health Occupation Student Association. And what these students do is they will choose an event to study or practice, depending on what it is, and go compete, participate against other high schools in the state. This year I had 5 students. If you guys would like to come join me, Daniel Nelson, Elena Dostal, Abby Smith, Abby Harper, and Gracie Bomar, who were able to move on to round 2 for our state competition. So this year was very different in years past. There were a lot of last minute changes, lots of big changes due to our COVID pandemic. This year we had to do round 1 of their events at the high school where they competed or completed a test in their event, or in Abby's case, writing an essay. And these 5 individuals scored in the top 10 of their event, and then were invited to move on to round 2, which was in Rolla. And then some of them, for their round 2, had to compete in a skills portion. So Daniel Nelson competed in veterinary science. We had Abby Smith, who competed in physical therapy. We had Elena Dostal, who was competed in medical spelling. We had Gracie Bomar compete in clinical nursing, and then Abby Harper was research, persuasive writing, and speaking. And we actually had one, Elena Dostal, who placed 2nd in her event and now gets to travel to Nashville in June to compete in our international competition. So very proud of these 5.
Open them up. Yeah.
There you go. Good. Big smiles. Good. One more. Don't go anywhere, parents.
It's going so well.
What's that? All right. Next we have certification of the election. Just a motion, yes, to certify. And the
Bond.
bond election first, I'm sorry. Yes.
Move to approve that the bond election results as presented.
Sorry.
Yes, 2,082, no, 1,190.
Second. Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey?
Yes.
Brian Ham?
Yes.
Dan Holloway?
Yes.
John Kern?
Yes.
Bruce Switzer?
Yes.
Susan Morman?
Yes.
Mark Kelly?
Yes. The bond was approved. It's a great opportunity for our district to move ahead. This is clearly money that's needed. Next, we have certification of election of school board members. Entertain a motion.
Move that the certificate of election results naming Meredith Cole and John Kern as the incoming board members.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey?
Yes.
Brian Ham?
Yes.
Dan Holloway?
Yes.
John Kern?
Yes.
Bruce Switzer?
Yes.
Susan Morman?
Yes.
Mark Kelly?
Yes. Entertain a motion to dissolve the 2021-22 Board of Education.
Move to dissolve the 2021-2022 Board of Education, sorry.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Darlene Bailey,
Yes.
Brian Hamp,
Yes.
Dan Holloway,
Yes.
John Kern,
Yes.
Bruce Switzer,
Yes.
Susan Warman,
Yes.
Mark Kelly.
Yes.
Movie, but I'm going to hand this to you. Thank you from the district, from your fellow board members, your commitment, your time, and your knowledge. We appreciate all that you have done for us. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate everybody. It's been a pleasure. And I don't speak very well to the point. Thank you. It's just been a great opportunity. The district is in a great shape. I know you all care about students and about kids, and that's why we're all here, no matter what anybody's. Keep up the hard work. Thank you. We want to thank you all for coming, and I think most of you are here to honor Mark and his service. And so I'm not sure when you began on the board, but we're going to party like it's 1985 here. And It wasn't quite that long ago. It wasn't? Okay. Maybe the last year, maybe 5 out later. It's dog years. So we have cake, and I'm not sure what else is out there, but please come and make your congratulations to Mark. We appreciate you being here, and we'll do this as long as it lasts, okay?
So we
Thanks.
also have a little video, but if you want to get your cake first, and then we'll play the little video that we have.
Get your cake, we'll eat it too, and we'll watch a
Right.
video.
You have to take any of it too.
Is it?
You guys want to take a little seat? We're going to watch a little video from Mark's honor. And then I know some of you already chose a part.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for your commitment and years of service to the Kearney School District.
Hey, Mark Kelly, my dear friend, you snazzy dresser. Thank you so much for all you did for the 15 years that you were on school board. I don't think a lot of people will ever know the time and the dedication that you gave. You kept your class and dignity during a very difficult time. You will be greatly missed.
3. Mr. Kelly, we appreciate all of your years of service to our district. From all of us at KHS, thank you!
Hey there, Mr. Kelly. I just want to take a moment to thank you for your time, your effort, your support, and your relentless love for keeping students first in this Kearney school community. Your knowledge and strength leading us through these last 2 years of a crazy pandemic definitely shines. And here we are in April on the upside of things, doing almost everything normal to give students and teachers the best experiences that we can give them in our district. Thank you, and wishing you nothing but the best on your future endeavors.
Hey Mark, congratulations on your years of service to the Kearney School District. I had the privilege of serving alongside Mark for 10 of those years. And although we didn't always agree on things, we did a little arm twisting back and forth. And him being an attorney, I had to twist his arm a whole lot harder than he had to twist mine to get him to see things my way. No, in all seriousness, Mark, thank you for your service and thank you for your continued friendship.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for your many, many, many years of public service to Kearney School District. You are a true public servant. You are smart, you are wise, you are patient, you are generous, and it has been a privilege to be part of this team under your leadership. Thank you, and I wish you and your family all the best as you move into this next stage of your lives.
Thanks, Mark Kelly, for your 15 years of service on the Board of Education, holding both president and vice president, showing your leadership. I hope you take some time to look at your legacy over the 15 years, the facilities that have been improved, the things that have been accomplished for students, and as we look at the portrait of graduate, how much you've had an opportunity to be a part of that. Thank you again for coming back and serving the community that you graduated, being a Kearney School District alumni. And I hope that you take some time and really look at those things and how we've grown as a district. Thank you for everything. Thanks for helping getting this bond passed as we grow as a district. And I hope you allow some time to take for your family. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
Hey, Mark. Thank you for your support through the years. As a high school administrator, I became very aware of how important it was to have the support of the school board. That support is imperative to us being able to do our jobs. Thank you for trusting us to do what we do. You have always looked out for our kids and were willing to make the tough decisions even when it wasn't the most popular decision to make. Thank you for your leadership, your time, your passion, and dedication to the staff and students of KSD. I hope you enjoy all the extra free time you're about to gain, but you will be missed.
Hi, Mark. I just want you to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate the 15 years that you have spent devoting your time and your efforts to help the Kearney School District prosper, to lead them in the right path, to just enable other people to be able to say, yeah, I'm from Kearney, that's a great place to be. I know that you spent countless hours, that it was a thankless position, and that you were way underpaid. I do want to thank you for the 15 years that you spent with me as board secretary. I know that that is a difficult job. So I just want you to know that I appreciate you and all of the time and effort that you made making Kearney School District a better place to be. Thanks.
Congratulations, Mark. Hold on a minute. That's much better. Hey, brother. You did so much for the Kearney School District and the kids of the district. It was my pleasure and honor to work with you those 6 years that I was on the board. It takes a man with integrity and compassion to do what you have to do, along with lots and lots of patience. Some people don't understand that. But I want you to know that life is ahead for you, chasing the kids and doing everything that you need to be doing. Congratulations on 15 years. 15 years? Wow. What's wrong with you? Hey, love you, brother. Congratulations.
Hey, Mark Kelly, congratulations on your many years of service in the Kearney School Board. Thanks for all you've done over the years. Think of all the impact and all the thousands and thousands and thousands of children that you have made a positive impact on. Difficult at times, but also very rewarding. Congratulations. Enjoy your time off.
Thanks, everybody. We are now going to move to reset the new board. And so if you want to leave, this is a really good time for you to.
Are we all? You don't get to leave.
Wait, is this the part where you look for the new president?
I'm interested, buddy.
Okay, all ready? Okay, we'll call this meeting back to order, and the first order of business is the oath of office for Meredith Cole and John Kearney. Please go to the front, and the board secretary will administer the oath. Come on up, Meredith.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Missouri, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of school director in and for District Number 1, County of Clay, State of Missouri, to the best of your ability, according to law, so help you God?
I do. Meredith, here at the table.
Hold on, let me get her set up.
You got a name and everything.
Okay, we're now ready for nominations for president. As identified in the agenda, if you would move your nominations in the form of a recommendation as presented here. Would you move to elect, state the person's name to serve as president for the Kearney School Board for the 2022-23 school district?
Move to elect Bree Schweitzer to serve as president of the Kearney School Board during the 2022-2023 school year.
Other nominations?
I move to elect Darlene Bailey to serve as president of the Kearney School Board during the 2022-2023 school year.
Any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, the procedure will be a roll call vote. As your name is called, we'd like for you to name the person that you would like to be the Kearney School Board president. Everybody okay? Understand? Okay. Becky?
Meredith Cole. She didn't give our instructions earlier, so you're going to name the one that you want to be your president.
Yeah.
Darlene Bailey. Darlene Bailey. Darlene Bailey.
Darlene Bailey.
Brian Ham.
Bree Schweitzer.
Dan Holloway.
Darlene Bailey.
John Kern.
Bree Schweitzer.
Bree Schweitzer. Bree Schweitzer. Susan Mormon.
Darlene Bailey.
So that's 4 for Darlene, 3 for Bree.
Okay. Darlene, you'll be the board president. Congratulations. Now take nominations in the same manner for vice president.
Move to elect Bree Schweitzer as vice president.
Second.
Any other nominations? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll move to your vote, roll call. In this instance, you could just say yay to the motion or nay. You need to state the person's name. Thank you. Becky?
Meredith Cole. Yay. Darlene Bailey.
Yay.
Brian Ham.
Yes.
Dan Holloway.
Yes.
John Kern.
Yay.
Bree Schweitzer. Yes. Susan Mormon.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Darlene, if you would come here, and Meredith, if you would go where Darlene is.
Shimmy, shimmy.
Yeah, we'll do a little musical chairs here.
Here we go. Okay, the first order of business is approval of the Board of Education's representative to the KSDF. Move to approve the appointment of Dan Holloway to the position of liaison to the Kearney School District Education Foundation for the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
All in favor?
Give me just a second, my thing is not going fast.
Well, it went away when I closed my, but this has happened to me twice. Mine and I do share. I just take notes in there.
I need it, yeah. Well, it's a good discussion among the board about who wants to do it.
Okay.
Okay,
on the next item, this person has been mean in the past, so I don't know if you want to have a conversation about that.
Well, can we also table this because we're going to talk about Ed Council or MSBA for policies? So would we need a delegate for MSBA for
Yes,
not
because
in
that
agreement?
doesn't have anything to do with our membership.
They're separate.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, that's what I was asking.
Sorry, totally took that one.
No, you're exactly right.
Because we already talked about that.
Right.
So my role in this position has been to attend, and any of us can attend meetings, but I've worked harder to attend more of the meetings and the legislative meetings and some of the regional meetings and things like that. And you are the MSBA delegate that has the district's vote at the convention, and then you get contacted about various things during the course of the year as the delegate.
And how often were you engaged in that?
Well, you can be as engaged as you want to be. I did some of the continuing education and dove a little deeper into some of the issues because I was interested in them. You should make it a point to attend the convention, I believe. We had the last 2 years that I was, since this was the first year that the legislative forum was in person, I found that to be very beneficial to go down to Jefferson City for that day and interact with other folks. So that would be a commitment. And then the regional meeting was actually just last week for Region 4. So, and reading, of course, quite a bit of reading. So we can table this if we want. And
I move to approve the appointment of Brian Ham as MSBA delegate for the 2022-2023 school year for the Kearney R-1 School District.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah. Okay, the next item is to approve the district designations for the board as treasurer and secretary.
Move to approve Leanne Bradbury as treasurer and Becky Burkemper as secretary and alternate treasurer as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Next, we have the consent agenda.
Move that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Are there any questions about any of the items on the consent agenda before we vote? I had one, and I assume that this is the case, but just want to make it clear that the item D, the ratification of additional positions, I am assuming that this is included in the proposed budget if this is approved.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
And so the point that I think is important that we all understand is that these positions, the leadership has worked hard to make sure that we can handle this and moving forward feel that it'll all work. And if Ginger's shaking her head, that's a good thing. Okay.
Did somebody second that motion?
No.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? All right. Information items, financials. Anything to report, Ginger?
We're looking better for this year, Anna. District manager, budget managers have entered all the purchase orders for the year, and we're forecasting to 24%. Hopefully some expenses are incurred, so we will hire. Anybody have any questions on the financials?
Okay. Thank you, Ginger. The salary committee report.
So each year, do I have control of the line? Okay. So each year we put together a salary committee. And this is based off different individuals. We have all teacher organizations represented. We have classified staff represented, and we administration. So this year we have Leah Easley, she's a high school math teacher. She represents KDA. Susanna Smith is at Kearney Elementary, MSTA.
Drew Schweitzer, grounds, Brent Boyd, custodial, Dr. Geffson, administration, Don Coonrod, HR administrative assistant. She does a lot of work of prepping this data together. So she works with our peer districts, getting this information from on all the positions with that. Sometimes the challenge is sometimes with a position of what we have classified or termed is different in the district. So she has to pick up the phone, make sure that she has that information. So I feel like this is a very well-represented group. We've been doing this process since 2011, and I've appreciated from the standpoint that when we're looking at each position, we're looking at all our employees, from substitutes to custodial, to teachers, to administrators, to directors, and looking at that. And I think they've been very good at looking at very selfless in this. So if you see Dawn, please thank her because she works tirelessly to put this information together. We look at two pieces of information in the Friday update. I've given you some information. So we look at our peer districts, and within that, then there's 11 peer districts, and how we came across that. Those are the districts that when Ms. Kopp compares academically, Kearney School District to others, this is what we're comparing. So we're also comparing, again, position by position, how we rank against them. We're there academically, always in the top, okay? Unfortunately, in this, with salary, we're on the other end from that. So in the peer study, not only did I include all the 11 peer districts, but then a couple of years ago it was asked is, what would it take, and you'd notice on the right-hand side, what would it take in there? And Ryan, can you go to that, to the peer study? The 20, yes, thank you. Okay, so if you'll notice on the right-hand side, what would that difference take if we were to go from the bottom third to the top 1/3, okay? So you can see there, obviously, information. So she splits it up into different categories from that standpoint. Now, obviously, this is health. So you can see that we have health needs, and they continue to change for our kids all the time. So we need licensure. In my time when I was in elementary school, we probably had less people that were RNs, and probably more we would call health clerks. So having that licensure of LPN, RN, and district nurse, and one of the things kind of also talk about, some of them are starting to obtain their BSN, and so possibly looking at that. We scroll to the next, and if you would like me to talk individually, I will, or if there's certain questions, I don't want to. I know the
And that difference, I assume, is getting us to the person at the bottom of the
upper top.
So it's not
So,
taking us to the top.
yes.
it's the bottom.
Instead of be like at number 4. In there. So now last year I wanted to say that one of the recommendations that was presented and the board took action on is looking at our PTs or OTs, social workers. Those are difficult positions to find in that. And so we used to go through contracted service where you're paying a lot more money for a contract than what you're actually paying the individual. And so we looked at that's cost savings. One of the things we looked at is that we kind of went in and put them, like a lot of districts do, on the teacher salary schedule in there and kind of being able to compensate. So you'll see that these have kind of jumped in there from that standpoint. Here's kind of our secretaries. So we have, each building has a lead secretary that's your go-to secretary for administrators and building secretaries, paraprofessionals, and high needs paraprofessionals. We have 3 categories within our paraprofessionals. So we have a resource para. High needs is when they work one-on-one, life skills in there. And then we also have, if we have a paraprofessional that has Missouri teaching certification, they have a rank 2 there. These individuals, and one thing I want to kind of point out, we've been short about 4 paraprofessionals all year. It's hard to find paraprofessional substitutes. And we're not alone. This is a story that many districts could tell. Here's some individual positions in here: company nest, kids club, parents PAT in there. So one thing I'll point out with Kids Club, the one thing we have to kind of take, not that school districts have to do this, but in January 2023, Missouri will go to minimum wage of $12. That is behind in there, and we've always tried to stay ahead of that because you're competing with that workforce. Okay. Our maintenance, ground, custodial, HVAC, we have where we hire HVAC that is certified to kind of do work and help some cost savings in there. You'll notice that again, these areas are very low in there. Now, one thing I will mention with the SRO, we have a little bit, the districts do different relations with school resource officers where they may say, for example, with Clay County, we will pick up 40% of the salary by, as Clay County, and the district will pick up 60% kind of agreement. Our SRO, these are ones that are fully employed by the district. Okay, in other words, they're our employee. Clay County couldn't take away, Kearney can't take away from them. They're serving our kids first. Teacher salary schedules, okay. We've noticed that the talk from the governor was, let's get that Missouri's the lowest in all the states. Want to get to 38,000. Obviously, we were there with the base, and interestingly, MSTA shared a study with us. The only two regions that have a base salary that's 38,000 or above is St. Louis and Kansas City. All the other remaining regions, as they're spread up, the 8 regions around the state of Missouri, they're probably on average about 33,000. We always have looked in the past at Masters plus 10, kind of a category. We have about 80% of our staff have 1 advanced degree. We have about, most of our teaching staff's range is about 15 years experience. So one of the things kind of we'll see that noticing on the back end, we're very low in there. Substitutes, and I want to point out that I know that Excelsior Springs says that they're at $200, and everybody will go, wow, that's a lot. They stuck their ESSER money into that. That will be a 1-year stopgap. It will go back down to probably more of the rates of $105 to $110 in there. So you'll see with our building principals, especially on the back end, we're very low. We're very experienced in the principals too. Assistant principals, that some of them start kind of in that middle category, but again on the back end with that. There's positions within kind of this building, representing from that standpoint our administrative assistants. Okay, directors, assistant superintendents in there, and if you'll see sometimes the administrative assistants that serve also these positions. And then we have some people that are in leadership. Notice if we don't report on the minimum, you only have 1 person in that category. So we put the kind of on that max end from there. From the reporting, we did not get the information on some of these leadership positions. And you can see that, again, kind of follows suit with our building administrators. And then we have some supervisors here, directors as well. Any questions that I could kind of clarify on that? Or
would it be possible to raise substitute pay for 4th quarter?
It'd be a board decision. I think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, if I were subbing and I could come here, or I could drive 7 miles that way, make twice as much money. It's a no-brainer.
Now, what I will say is that on our fill rates, that we're still beating that school district.
As far as substitutes.
So, as we kind of look back, Ryan, if you go back to the PowerPoint. So we also, the other piece of data that we provide to you is kind of year-to-year comparison. So, in other words, those positions that started out in 2011 and to where the progression has been there. So I know that sometimes when we look at a peer study, that obviously can be some depressing news. I understand that. But I think when you also look at it, I think you need to look at it from the standpoint, when you look at the year-to-year comparison, the board has not stayed stagnant with positions. You know, for example, in 2011, we paid a paraprofessional, starting paraprofessional, $8.80. Obviously, times have changed in there, and now we've raised that. So those are some things that you guys started making commitments and tried to do that each year. So we kind of talk, when we gather this information, the committee's looking at, first thing we do is we talk about what happened, what we accomplished what was kind of accomplished last year by the Board of Education, and also working within the budget as well. And then we look at this same information, the peer districts, and then the year-to-year study. So obviously, you know, kind of the goal is, one is to see everybody get a raise, all right? We know that we're going to have to get ahead of minimum wage. And that was something that the state of Missouri put in years ago, that at a rate of 85 cents per year, they're raising the minimum wage. Again, school districts don't have to, but again, you're competing with that workforce. So the challenge of competition amongst the workforce, and that's been brought up. People will have said, you know, as for an example, why would I want to work with Kids Club or paraprofessional if I could go and go to Five Guys and get paid $16.75 an hour? Great point in there. You know, sometimes obviously the argument is, well, you're not going to be working Monday. You know, your schedule won't be Monday through Friday, and in fast food, they're probably going to try to limit your hours to probably under 25, and I don't know if there would be benefits. But again, those are still forces that we're competing against. Retail, fast food, they're raising those rates as well. So we have to take, you know, take that into consideration. And I think we also have to take into consideration when we look at your peer district along Highway 92, Liberty, and over Kansas City, Park Hill. So, you know, when we look at all those positions in our peers, and we look at certified, and I'm talking about like our teachers, we compete with all those districts. When you get into classified, sometimes it gets a little more right here in this area. And so you want to stay ahead of there. And so you can say, okay, what if we continually take from a smaller district, you know, this to the north and pay a little bit higher wage? We can take that risk, but we're also competing when they can say, I can go 5 miles down the road. And, you know, I stay within the peer system. I'm not losing into that, and I'm gaining salary. So, you know, considerations that we looked at that we said, and this is interesting, the teachers, both teachers, they, teacher organizations, MST and KA, put together a very similar survey. And I think it's interesting when you have your teachers take that, and one of the top areas identified in the classified side is if we can do something with our para-pay, because they work with kids on a daily basis, and they're supporting us every day. Also taking a look at, you know, maintenance grounds. We have to keep up our facilities. We passed the bond. We have to keep up our facilities as well. Custodial, we've been 4 short most of the year. Jerry Stinger's done a great job. We're, you know, anticipating that we could have a few more that may opt out as well. And then I think kind of our building secretaries too. They are individuals that help our buildings immensely. And wear many hats in there. Teachers, if we would look at it, kind of that experienced end, we can take a look at that in administration. One thing I would like to kind of recommend as we get with our health staff, like we do, you know, for example, teachers, they're awarded a stipend if they get national board certification. People get their doctorate. From that standpoint, when we get to BSN, that's something, that's another level for our health staff, and I think we should look at rewarding that as well. In 2 topics, I have counselors, and I didn't put one in here as well, is speech paths. So a master's degree normally is about 30 to 32 hours. Our counselors are averaging for just a master's degree over 60 hours. So that's like a double master's, and they get paid just for a master's. So is our speech pathologists. These are 2 areas that are not a lot of applicants. And so I think if, you know.
It's just speech path, it's not the other therapies and things that you're highlighting? It's just speech path that you're highlighting?
Because they're on the certified.
Oh, okay.
On the certified.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. And so I think that if with one of the things I think that we can easily do, if we look at that and say with board approval that we could move in hour-wise across there to kind of help represent that, I think that would be good. I think we continually need to increase the substitute pay. Ms. Scott puts together a lot of good PD, Ms. Stewart puts together a lot of PD, and sometimes we need those quality starts to keep them here. One thing that we do, and I appreciate that the board rewards that, is that we pay our retired teachers a little more, and that plays a big benefit. And I think with legislation that's coming around that says, looking at waiving those for the next few years with our sub shortage, that would be great. How great is it for your child to have a retired teacher back in there and keep the class flowing while that teacher is gaining professional development? So, and I think another thing is that in our peer district, we have the lowest premiums, which is great, and for insurance, right? So that means that we're keeping our utilization down, but our board paid amount is not we're only one of the last one, or if not second to last one, that doesn't cover at least the individual board paid amount. And so, last year we went from 475 to 500. So I think that that's something in consideration because that also helps. So just a few things in budget impact, and I appreciate Ginger's worked through some of these things. When we say step movement on our salary schedules and we give everybody a step, what we're equating to is about $370,000. Okay, when we say a 1% increase, that's roughly around $300,000. And for an example, if we go from 500 to 525, that equates to about $100,000. So kind of impacts, so you kind of have some figures in your head when we do these things in there, but still trying to stay within our reserves. So, questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to action items. Approval of health, dental, vision, and life insurance renewals.
We have representatives from Lockton here. I think if, as you guys see, this is good news as far as with things with insurance.
You can speak then, since it's good news.
That's a good way to introduce it. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Looking at our 22 renewal this year, we can go to the next slide. We kind of wanted to go over, just to show this slide right here, is just the history of what has happened the last few years. Looking at this year specifically, we have negotiated with Blue Cross a 0% increase to the rates that we're looking at for the coming year, as well as with dental, and then BSP as well is going to be a 0% increase. So all zeros, all good stuff right there. And the next one, this showing right here is just the final negotiated rates and kind of where we started off with Blue Cross, that 5.9% increase, down to the 0, so everything's still the same as it was last year. The little difference is going to be with that 0% is the implementation of the premium formulary, and this is something that is just a little bit of a change to the prescription drugs and how the levels of each things go. It's going to be a positive. It, is really impacting the consumerism of how people are using the plan, savings on the plan as far as what the district's saving, and then also individual saving as well. So still going to be 3 tiers. You have your generics, your brand, and then your specialty. And something to note on here as well, they'll say some things are excluded, but if it's something that is necessary or deemed necessary by the doctor, that'll get approved and still be covered under this. So the next slide, we're looking at just a little bit of the disruption. And when I say disruption, it's actually pretty positive when we're looking at this. No change is going to be the majority of everyone. A then positive change as well for about 51 members. We're looking at negative and excluded. With this number, it's actually lower than it was when we ran these numbers in January. Blue Cross will go every 6 months or so and update their formulary for prescription drugs. So this one right here is showing 61 excluded. That's already dropping by some with the 4-1. There was an update on 4-1. So the disruption's even going lower with that. You can see kind of the negative member impact down there. Most of it utilizers just one drug. There's a few that use multiple drugs. They're very small percentage there. This is a list of the most common drugs that were on the list and how they're affected. Just kind of want to point out with this one, that 4-1 update is with Flonase, I'm sorry, is that very top line. And that's something that's over the counter. It's already, people are already noticing. I think I was talking to Dawn about this one, asking about it. So it's not come to 7-1, that won't even be a problem when we look at it. So we're already down 18 utilizers.
Individuals on the insurance committee said that they've already experienced that, so.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, still low cost, so that's when they move that over to the counter.
Just to be clear, when you're saying 7-1, you're talking about July 1st?
Yes. Like I said, I mean, the Flonase is already implemented 4-1, so there were some changes that did happen. Any other questions as far as Blue Cross, the premium formulary?
We did meet with the committee and kind of sought input from going back to each building, and they were in agreement with that, so.
And then the next slide, we're looking at the different scenarios, as Jeff had mentioned before. Either doing the contribution of $500 and then the $525 if that were to move up. Down at the bottom, you can see that annual impact, like he had mentioned, around $100,000. A lot of financials illustrated. So, and then we go into the other additional renewals. Our dental, again, 0% increase there. This is just going to be an overview of the plan as it stands now, so there are no plan changes. So no changes there. And then the next one with our vision. Now VSP did initially come with about a 5% increase to the rates. You can see, and we got down to the 0% and no plan changes as well. So this slide just shows what's going on now with the two plans with the base and the buy-up.
And so that would be for 2 years, right?
Correct, yes. Yeah. So 2 years for that. And then Blue Cross is the 1 year, like 3. And then with US Able, they issued another rate guarantee for 2 years, so that'll go through 2024, no changes to anything. And that's it. And then this shows some additional numbers. Any questions about anything?
I will say that I appreciate Lockton going back and continue to talk with Blue Cross and Blue Shield when we start with almost a 6% increase and say go sharpen your pencils and really look at how long we've been Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Very much.
I do appreciate that from that standpoint, fighting for our employees.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Recommendation.
Approval of health, dental, vision, and life insurance renewal as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Approval of the preliminary budget for 22-23.
Every year we have a preliminary budget approval for operating funds only, so it enables our buildings to go ahead and make purchases on next fiscal year's dollars. That way they're prepared for the summer. Nothing gets delivered until after July 1. And we will come back in June with the full budget once we have more data collected. Does anyone have any questions about this?
No questions? Okay.
Move to approve the preliminary operating budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Approval of policy maintenance agreement.
So as you know, last month we had the MSBA policy agreement on your agenda. We pulled that so that you might have an opportunity to take a look at competing
policy services, if you will. There are essentially three: MSBA, EGS, and Mickus O'Toole. And Mickus O'Toole did not respond to us until very late, and then chose not to submit. So you have two options here. One is the current MSBA agreement, or the EGS service from Ed Council. These are annual renewals. So each year you can either renew or you can change. So while they might be, offered to you on a 5-year scope of service and budget impact, just know that each and every year you have the opportunity to take a look at these annuals, just like you have with MSBA for a number of years. So I'll answer any questions that you might have regarding this.
We talked in earlier meetings that the MSBA does not go to court with us on our policies, correct? And our council does. So when we change a policy, we always go to MSBA for a view, but then they always are telling us to circle back to our legal counsel, which is the Ed Council. Okay.
Yeah. I want to be clear. MSBA employs attorneys. Mm-hmm. They offer their legal opinion regarding that. They write policies based upon statutes. So being an attorney oftentimes helps with all of that. However, more and more, just because of the litigious nature of society and just the complexity of your policies, they are often referring back to districts to say, check with your local council regarding this. And so, yes, they do offer an opinion, but if you are challenged in any way, and you all know this from some of your recent court work, is that it's your attorney of record that provides that service to you in court.
So my hesitation with MSBA is that we're kind of paying the middleman, because we're always going to go back to Ed Council when it's put to the test. They're there for us. So why do we once again stay with MSBA for one more year when Ed Council now has this service, and they've had the service, and we're just kind of streamlining things straight to the attorneys, so to speak?
I did a bit of research on this because I wanted to try and understand exactly what MSBA was providing and what the other contracts would provide us. And a few concerns that I have. I did ask on this 5-year commitment, and I was told that cannot be changed as part of the contract. Do you know something different on that? Because I was told it was a 5-year agreement. As it's written. Because I asked, could that be changed? And I was told no.
Well, it's an annual renewal. It's broke out.
Right, okay. Okay, but with that 5-year commitment, I mean, any contract, you have your out clause, I get that. Yeah. Okay, I thought maybe the way you phrased that there was something different. My concern was, and in calling Ed Council and asking them, was how new is this program? It's 3 years old. I asked, there are 562 districts in the state of Missouri, and they have 31 on this program. I like where it's going. I do think that this might be a direction we head for exactly the reasons that Bree was talking about, but I don't feel comfortable signing up for this when we haven't seen it. We don't have a demo. We haven't checked references from other districts on how they made the move to it. What I would like to see us do is to get that done as part of some of our summer workshop, to get a demo, to do that, kind of a little bit more deep dive into what's involved, because I like what I'm seeing. I don't like to buy unless I see it, you know what I mean? So I would like to do something like that. Now MSBA
our contract with them started March 1. So my first question is, what are we doing with the policies right now if that's starting March 1? And I think it's a 60-day invoice period. So we really do need to decide with MSBA what we're doing with them too, right?
Correct.
So I would like to see us go ahead and sign up for the year with MSBA, knowing what we know about them, while we then go take a deep dive into what this other thing offers us this summer, knowing that we can switch effective March 1 of next year if we choose to. So I'd like to move that we sign up with MSBA, table the review of Ed Council for our summer workshop. That's what I'd like to do.
Do you have an idea of what that spend is on the overlap of once we go to legal and they have to review it? What do we spend?
Do we spend something with MSBA and then do we spend it with Ed Council? Because I know we already pay Ed Council to review it. I don't know if we spend separate for MSBA legal to look at it.
No.
It's part of the contract.
That's part of the
That's what
contract.
yeah, it's part of our
So it's no
contract.
extra.
But we pay our attorneys extra to look at the policy because
Right.
that's not part of.
Do we have an idea of what that spend would be, the additional cost for our legal to review it on top of the MSBA?
Well, I can tell you we can look in the budget and see what your current spend is, but it's essentially the review of per hour of your.
Do they categorize it as such, that it's the review of policy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You know, we signed one today that was an invoice for a little over $1,000. So.
What, that was just policy?
No, some of that was
Right.
personnel, but it's hard for you to talk about personnel when you're not, right? It's all related
I
to
know,
policy.
yeah.
Ed Council will also then take our policies with our handbooks and streamline them to make sure that they are all one, equal. There's no gray area, which we've learned, we have some of that now, so we circle back to MSBA for a view, who then say, great, now follow up with your council. So
I think we also need to talk about if we do migrate in this way, what is part of that implementation on our time, their time? Because to actually switch over, both contracts state that their base policy without any changes are their copyright. It's MSBA's copyright. It's Ed Council's copyright. So there's a lot of work involved, in my opinion, in making this actual transition. And have we factored that in? You know, we have a lot going on. We've got a bond that just passed. We've got a new superintendent. I feel like this is something that's gonna take quite a bit to review. That's why I don't feel like I wanna rush it. And our roof isn't caving in right now, you know? We're fine with what we're doing. I agree that this is the better way to go. I just don't wanna make a rush decision without knowing what we're getting into.
If you're gonna save money today for something that you're gonna do tomorrow, why not do it today? That's just how I look at it. I mean, there's money to be saved here for the district.
Agreed.
And so if you're saying, hey, I'm excited where they're headed, well, if we can save money, we can not double up on procedure. To me, I
want to know what I'm getting into.
I see because what you're saying is we have a foundation, we have an infrastructure that's there, that's been told for, and we went by this book, and it's been there for us all this time.
Yeah.
And then we got something new that we're not for sure.
But
I see the
31
financial
districts out of
part.
562.
Yeah, and I understand that.
All that stuff just makes me
I mean, I
think,
understand
I just
that
want to look
too,
at it a little
but yeah, instead of to jump in.
I think my only with that is that there are council. I mean, we've been working with them now for X amount of years, and they've never strayed us wrong. So I don't
think you're getting into something that you don't know already.
Right.
Because you know the people that
we have a relationship with them
I mean,
already.
you reached out to them and talked to them, so I mean, like,
sure.
It's not like that they weren't available to tell you what they could do. So I don't think you're grasping at straws. I think you know what you're getting. It's Ed Council, and you're going to get their support.
Right.
It's just whether or not you
How
want.
often are they throwing flags up on the policies that are coming through from MSBA, Ed Council? Like they're reviewing them and then they're taking a red pen to it. How often? Where they would be so they would truly be writing them right out of the gate very differently than what they're coming through from
MSBA
because they do have 500 and some odd school districts that they provide the service to, because Mickaso Tool don't, they're essentially on the St. Louis side and have few districts there. So you are, they tend to write policies broadly.
Covering more districts.
Yes. So what often occurs in the review of a council is that they make it more specific to you.
Customize it.
Yeah.
So in all essence, they're doing the work together already. I mean, if they were just signing off on them and saying they're fine, but in all essence, if they're getting to them and they're having to manipulate them.
Right, which we're paying for by the hour.
Well, I'm just speaking from my experience on the board, when a policy comes through MSBA, it has been rare that we have altered it. Yeah, because as I was checking through policies against other districts, they're the exact same verbiage, okay, and the same thing will most likely happen, I would assume, with Ed Council, that they have their copyrighted policy, right? So, if we're saying that they change it all the time, I don't know how that's possible.
I didn't say all the time.
I mean,
I
but
said
they often.
When we send a policy to them.
But then
so-
it's not changed from MSBA though.
But other districts have the same legal that we have.
I'm guessing by the time we see it, it's already went to the council and we're going to present it as the final version.
The reason why they look similar is because they are written so broadly. I'm not suggesting that's bad, I'm just, that's the way that it occurs.
So for example, the policies that we're seeing on the agenda tonight, has Ed Council looked at those? Okay, so they've gone through that process.
They've gone through MSBA and Ed Council. Yeah.
So, and the other thing.
That's why I like where this is going.
Second set of eyes.
The other thing that I think that you'll find more and more need of is a policy service that provides different levels of handbooks for your district. So, as Bree mentioned, you'll get a student handbook.
I think that was the only difference I saw in the two contracts, was the student handbook, wasn't it?
Well.
I saw administrative, I saw employee handbook, I thought I saw the same handbooks except the students.
So you'll get, and Dan Miller was here, I don't know, was it last month?
Yes.
And I think, John, you asked him the question, are these, aligned to our policies? And he said, yes, we've gone through that review. I'm not suggesting Dan is not the right person to do the review or that he didn't do it well. Here you have a legal firm that's doing that, which I think, no disrespect to Dan, gives it a little.
It minimizes your risk.
And that's what a policy service does, is that it minimizes your risks and allows you to manage your liabilities.
A couple of questions, you might know the answer to this. On the MSBA contract, it talks about the maintenance of the online version of policies and procedures, but the Ed Council does not say that. Is it an online service? Okay, I don't know, I didn't know why they didn't say that, so I thought I'd check with you.
We pulled up, 4 or 5 different vendors or school districts and so on.
And then the other thing that MSBA has, but I don't know if it's part of the other one, because I didn't find the phrasing, was review submitted monthly board minutes for actions that may warrant a new or revised policy or procedure. So they're looking at our minutes, and that wasn't part of the Ed Council. Do you know if they do that?
They don't do that unless we send it to them. Ed Council. So, and I don't know that.
If that's part of this service or not. You don't know? Okay. And that's why I just feel like I'd like to look at it a little bit more.
Have you ever sent to MSBA?
I've never sent it, but MSBA can see us in Simply, but since I've been in this position, I've never had them come back and say, we are
That's 'cause we're
changing
that
this
good.
policy. We're changing this policy based on something that happened at your board meeting. So I don't know if it's ever happened. I'm just saying it's not happened since
We're one of
for
500
the last
plus.
3 years.
Right, we're one of 500 plus, they're not looking at us.
Right. So my question is, Susan mentioned it, but maybe to get a feel from you because you're sitting in the seat, in terms of transition and potential issues with staff time and things like that when we're doing other transition, do you have a feel for that is a challenge or is it a big deal?
Well, any transition is a challenge, right? You prefer to have various stages of implementation of change in your system. Now, obviously, we have several changes here. Do I think that it would be so monumental? No, I don't. But again, you have to understand this is the guy that's, you know, got the shortest tenure of anybody here.
No,
right
but you're
now.
the one we get to ask, so.
I mean, I know that there's a lot of changes coming, and I know that the new superintendent, but, so a part of me then with that change says, start fresh and start clean and have streamline done for you, with you. I mean, I've only worked with Ed Council the last 2 years, but they've
They're
not
very
yet
good.
let us down, and
Yeah,
they're
they're
extremely
good.
good, and I mean, they're pretty quick, and we lost some background knowledge of lawyer stuff on the board ourselves, so maybe to pick up lawyers that we've lost.
Can I make a motion to approve full maintenance service agreement with MSBA as presented and reviewing Ed Council agreement as part of our summer board workshop? Can I do that? Can I
You
make a
can,
motion?
you can make the motion, and if someone seconds it, we would vote. If no one seconds it, then we'll go
We gotta
and
decide.
My last question, who within the district is this going to impact? When we're talking about this workload, who is the individual or individuals? Becky? So Becky's still gonna, but my point is Becky's still gonna be the same person next year. So it's,
But we're gonna be the one who approves all policies, so we have to be involved at some of this.
but again,
as well.
next year, that's no different. You're still sitting with a board of 7 people, so none of the, my point is if it was somebody coming in the district that was new and they were gonna have to learn the district and learn that, that's a lot. But if it's Becky and she's already here and she's likely the person who's gonna be here next year, that's,
And will we have to read each policy and approve each policy because it is now maintained by a
but
different
don't,
group?
we all read?
I'm saying, right now, as new policies come in and we read, it's first reading, second reading, all that, are we gonna have to go, and these are questions I wanna ask
No,
them.
I
you
was
know
saying,
what I
are we
mean?
doing that now
So,
when they come through?
I'm talking every policy that's already in place, already voted on, do we have to start all over?
No, because
from
they've already
scratch?
reviewed all of those, unless they want to come to the board and say, we recommend
They-
changing X, Y, and Z.
That's
Yeah, I
what
think
they're
it would be
saying,
good
that they're
changes
bringing
that
in,
they
they're
come to.
copyrighted.
Yeah.
They can't, if I'm reading these contracts correctly, it's copyrighted by MSBA and it's copyrighted by Ed
I know
Council.
what you're saying.
So, do we have, I would think we have to read every single
Yeah.
policy.
100% new, yeah.
That's why I just wanna ask more questions is all,
No, I
you know? That's, I just wanna make sure I know what we're getting into.
Okay,
I move to approve a full maintenance service agreement with MSBA as presented and review the Ed Council agreements and, I wanna get 10 more in our workshop. I don't know how you can just say all that, Becky.
I said
Second.
reviewing agreement with Ed Council during the summer board workshop.
Yeah.
Second.
all in favor?
Hang on a minute. So, Dan, raise your hands.
Opposed, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're abstaining?
So can I make a new motion?
Yep.
Hang on a minute.
She said click a lot of buttons here.
Click a lot of names, okay.
So move to approve full maintenance agreement with Ed Council Guide Services as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Passed? All right. Move to approve the MOCAAT resolution.
Yeah, MOCAT. So what,
I'm sorry, MOCAAT.
yeah, so
Read
what,
the title, sorry.
right, so what this does is,
And I'll make a couple of announcements here too, things that are coming down your road here. So next month, on the 18th, during your May meeting, Todd Goffey with Piper Sandler will be here, and you will be presented with a go-to-market resolution. What that does, basically, it's a parameters resolution, for lack of a different explanation. It will describe the parameters of your bond sale, okay? Gives both an indication to you about what will happen, but also you affirm what Piper Sandler is taking a look at in terms of the sale, the competitive nature of it, the people that they are garnering to be bidders on your bond. We right now tentatively have the sale of the $44 million on the morning of June the 22nd. Okay, that is the date of your June board meeting. So that evening, then Todd will be back here in order to present to you the results of said sale for your approval. Okay, once you do that, then you have access to $44 million based upon that sale that occurred that next day. So what do you do with $44 million? Okay. Traditionally, what you have done is you have looked to MOSIP, and I wrote to you earlier about that. That is an investment liquidity entity that services school districts and municipalities in the state of Missouri. So basically, it goes there. You're now going to get some interest on it, which you probably haven't in the last several years. But more importantly, it's in a liquidity form, so that when Ginger needs to cut a check to Newkirk Novak or your vendor for electricity or a DLR, you have the ability to be able to do that. Okay. Previous to that, there was no competition in that particular area for MOSIP. They were pretty much they dominated the market because nobody else did it. A few months ago, actually, MOCAT was created in order to provide another opportunity for you to be able to do that. So this is in the spirit of competition creates the best value. So what I'm asking you to consider tonight is for the ability of MOCAT through this resolution on June the 23rd to submit to you, to Ginger actually, a bid for how they will provide you service of that $44 million. It'll be specific to where they will tell you how much basis points and interest they will give you along the way as well. And so my hope is that in July, you will have two bids and you can select the best and most appropriate instrument.
Why are we waiting so long to get that done with inflation and raising rates?
That's as fast as it can be done.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and in that world, it's pretty quick. But yeah, so we could move it up a number of days in June, but
it's like a pedal faster.
Yeah, I know. So, but on the other side of it, if your interest rates continue to go up, you have these sorts of opportunities where you're having people bid. Right. Now, here's the other thing I want you to say. You can, if you wish, you can split this between two investment pools. So you could have 22 million go to MOCAT, and you could have 22 million go to MOSIP. Really doesn't add that much additional work for Ginger, but it could be in your benefit to be able to do that. So it's not selective, it's not exclusive. What this action does this evening for you, passing this resolution allows them to be able to bid on not only this issue, but future issues that you might have.
Move to approve the MOCAT resolution and instrument of adoption as presented.
Second.
All in favor? The agreement with DLR?
So as you know, part of the bond issue was
the expansion of this facility. In order for that to occur, the central office is moving to the Mosaic building. What you have here is an agreement with DLR to do that design. And it's not much. You have a pretty good building there. It's full of offices, patient rooms, and so it's a matter of flipping it into space for your central office needs, not only today but also your future needs as well. So, anything else there?
No.
Do we have
This will get them
timeline
going on the
that
design
yet?
work, and so we can get it to new back.
Brea's asked about timeline.
So design would be about 8 to 9 weeks. Construction would be 14 weeks. Now, construction would be dependent upon, obviously, bids, materials, and labor, right? So that's kind of the challenge, but so if we can.
They'll start tomorrow.
Well, yeah, they can start tomorrow to get this going and start working it, but trying not to touch too much, but just make it so that it's efficient.
Do we have hopes of getting in there by next school year?
Yes.
I think it's more realistic to say that by the 1st of October.
Okay.
Yeah, now to that point, we might just kind of keep this in front of you. We may call and say, hey, we need a special board meeting to advance some of this work to try to keep it online. So we'll keep you in the loop of that, but I just don't know that it's going to fall on the 18th of May or the 22nd of June for us to be able to keep the schedule. So we may have you come in early in the morning for a quick meeting. Consider some
Move to approve the amendment to professional services agreement with DLR as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Technology program evaluation?
Hello, everyone. This works. There we go. Okay, so in the technology department, we have 6 staff members. 3 of them are KSD employees, myself, Chris Shirk, our network administrator, and Matt Walker, our help desk technician. And then we have 3 that work for Midwest Computech. They're a contracted position. Those are Andrew Durham, William Headley, and Frank Bailey. So the purpose of the technology program is to provide the technology and related services necessary to ensure students develop 21st century skills for college and career readiness. Who are our customers? So those are all of our students and staff, so that number is about 4,000 people. The technology department provides technical support, planning, upgrades, and maintenance to our customers as needed based on needs assessments, technology refresh cycles, and trends in K-12 technology. And to do that, we have our transition to one-to-one. So before 2020, we had a cart-based device model. So about 2/3 of our students, we had devices for about 2/3 of our students, and they were in carts, and teachers would reserve them, take them to classrooms. Then came 2020, and we went to virtual learning, and we had devices to send home. But what did we do when we came back? We had hybrid days and kids that were doing KSD Connect. So we went one-to-one, and we went iPads with kindergarten and 1st grade, and Chromebooks in 2nd through 12th grades. We also have hotspots that are available to students in need, as well as hotspots on 20 of our Durham buses. So the kids can work on homework on the way home, if they have a long bus ride, or on activity trips. And then through a donation from Aruba, we have exterior Wi-Fi access on some of our buildings, which came in handy during that virtual learning time. Kids could pull up to the parking lot, download assignments, submit assignments, and then go home if they didn't have good access at home. So what does our budget look like? I've got this split out between hardware, software, personnel and benefits, and service agreements. And you can see that our total expenses have been pretty much the same year over year. We were a little higher in 1920 because we did have some COVID relief revenue, and we purchased some Chromebooks in that year, as well as in the 2021 school year. And you can see that the COVID relief revenue, which would be the CARES, I believe, that ESSER funding, $430,000 of that was in 2021. And then in this current year, we are using that in other places in the district. So some of our past improvements, we transitioned to one-to-one, as I said. We did that in just 6 weeks in the summer of 2020. We also upgraded our Wi-Fi across the district, began a strategic upgrade of our network backbone. We also placed our Chromebooks into a rotation schedule so we can try to keep those rotated with a 3 to 4 year lifespan. We also transitioned our teachers back to laptops from a desktop and Chromebook model. We tried the desktop and Chromebook model for one whole rotation cycle, and when virtual learning happened, the Chromebooks just were not powerful enough for the teachers to use. So we did use some, I think that was City of Kearney CARES money to purchase laptops for our teachers. We also added one FTE to our department to improve our repair times for Chromebooks, because with the one-to-one system, you're going to have damages and repairs all the time. We also piloted smart touch displays to replace traditional smart boards. So in most of our classrooms now, we have a smart board on the wall, which is basically a big touch screen mouse, right? And we've got a projector on the ceiling. But the new model is to have a TV that is touchscreen. So we've got 6 new ones this year, and there's also 3 that we've had at Lens for the past 4 to 5 years. Those are going well, so I think we're going to continue with those. We have also implemented a management system for installing patching and updates, which is really important in the current cybersecurity environment that we're in. So continue to keep those things up to date. Our future improvement opportunities continue to upgrade our backbone to support growth and increased usage, implementing our new incident IQ ticketing and inventory system, replacing our district firewall and content filter to support cybersecurity and student safety, replacing our district server storage appliance to improve performance, continuing to replace Chromebooks and iPads according to the replacement cycle I mentioned earlier, monitor our network usage to identify areas for improvement, and continue cybersecurity measures to achieve compliance with the CIS critical controls. The long-term goals for the technology program are to keep technology up to date and innovative, and improve service request completion times. Our short-term goals are to implement additional cybersecurity measures and improve our ticketing and inventory systems. To measure that progress, we can measure our ticket resolution time and our average device age. And if you look at the ticket resolution time from 2020 to 2021 to this current year, as of the 1st of April, we have reduced our ticket resolution time, and that is primarily, I believe, based on our additional FTE. Also, we calculated our average device age between staff and students. Last year, it was 2.89 for staff because we got all those new laptops. This year, it's currently at 3.63, and you'll note there's a note at the bottom of the screen that we have not been able to deploy our teacher laptops yet because we're still waiting on additional parts to arrive. So those numbers are not updated to include those. Also, our average student device age is 2.57 and 2.55 years. Our program goal for the next 2 years is to improve customer service from the technology department to reduce average ticket resolution time by 10% over those next 2 years. And to do that, we'll implement our incident IQ system with Fidelity to increase efficiency within the department, equip building level student interns to work and resolve issues, build a knowledge base for staff members to potentially assist themselves in resolving minor issues, and replace devices to keep average device ages under 3 years. And that's aligned to strategic plan goal 2B, increased technology instructional support. Any questions?
Yeah, Ryan, I have a question. As we rotate those on that schedule and stuff, what are we doing because as we see on the news and everything, everything's lacking, when it comes to the processors, chips, everything like that. And I know in hospital settings, our like Havers recycle programs out there. So what are we doing with those Chromebooks we rotate out? I was just curious.
So we do declare them surplus, and send them off for recycling or buyback from different companies.
Okay, so we get some reimbursement out of that, I just want to mention.
Yep. We also monitor how the market is going. If we're going to see another Chromebook shortage, then we may not replace those that year and adjust our cycle to make sure that we have what kids need.
Ryan, I don't think we've been able to thank you enough for the work that you've done during this transition. We were reminded about what happened in 6 weeks. That's pretty incredible. So thank you and your staff very much.
Yep, move to approve the technology program evaluation as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Approval of board policies on first reading. Any questions about any of the policies?
Policy BBF, are you gonna go ahead, you go first.
I was gonna make the motion.
Oh, well, hold on.
Okay.
So policy BBF, did we get this approved through lawyers, or is this just our recommendation?
It's been approved through lawyers.
Okay.
Both MSBA and the lawyers.
Okay, cool, that's all I wanted.
Yep.
Move to approve board policy as on the first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
I think she should have to read each one of those
Me
policies.
too, I was gonna say, I want to hear you recite
They're
the
not in
alphabet.
red.
Yeah.
They're not in red, so you don't have to do it.
Read what's in red, guys.
Okay, thank you. Board member comments?
So the bond passed, and it was a lot of work from a lot of very good people. Ray, being one of them, was on our team. There were some family members in the community, the Freeman family, Beth Freeman for one. A lot of hours, a lot of talking and collaboration back and forth. These ladies and their families did incredible work. I was very honored to be part of it, very excited, and excited for what we're going to do going forward for the district. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to the community for their support. I learned a lot. It was great. Everyone answering all of my questions.
Thanks
all
to
the
you,
time.
Bree, for all the time you put into it too.
I would like to just give us a round of applause if anybody's watching or anything, Beth Freeman, all of them and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
I've got two things. One, and I was just asking Susan about the Mosaic building a little bit. I've seen some people who are questioning our purchase of that building, so I just want to throw out there, one, the original cost of that building was roughly $5 million 10-ish years, 8 to 10 years ago. If you throw inflation in there, it would cost us another $1.25 million to build that right now, so it would be a $6.25 million building. We bought the building for less than the inflation. So it is a really good value for our district, and as we're growing, so I want, I want people to realize, and we bought that at a really pivotal time because things have gone way up since we purchased that building. So I want to say that I'm really happy that we did that because I think it's going to allow us to grow and we're going to save. Because for us to go build out another facility or build something new, we would spend so much more to accomplish that. So it really is a smart decision for our district. Yeah. Number two, we saw tonight that we had multiple people wanting the role of president. And I think that it would be one thing if one of you was equivalent to a Ford Escape and the other one was a BMW. But the reality is, the difference between the two of you is one's a red BMW and one's a blue. And you've got to pick what you feel is right, or which color you like, or whatever. But I don't really think that is what matters here, is not that two people wanted it and the difference of opinions of who should have it. I think what's most important at the end of the day, and what I want you to know, Darlene, for me is you have my support 100%, and it's not that there's different people wanting it, but the most important thing is that everybody here is going to support the person who's in that role, whether you voted or
And we're
not.
getting 2 BMWs.
And we're getting 2 BMWs, so there you go. But so my point is, congratulations, and you have my full support and whatever I can do to help you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to notate on the Mosaic building that I was right here next to Bree when we were saying 900,000.
Well,
can we go for cheaper? Yeah.
Thank you all for your comments, and I do look forward to working with everyone and our new superintendent and the guy that's still sitting in the seat for a while. And I was going to mention that he and I, and Ray was there as well. Another exciting thing happened for our community yesterday, the groundbreaking for the new interchange. And you didn't screw it up with the shovel of dirt that you threw, did you? What do you think, Ray? Did you get a picture of that? But no, yesterday there was a lot of people there. A couple hundred people were there for the groundbreaking for the new interchange. So it's a big darn deal. And they're actually down there with the bulldozers. I drove that way today and they're starting to dig it out. So exciting time for our community to have a lot of growth and building and things happening. So thank you. Okay, important dates. April 18th, no school, Good Friday. That's Monday. I do that every year. I assume that my kid's out of school Friday.
It used to be Friday.
Well, you know, I told my mom a while ago, yeah, Luke can help you on Friday, so I better change that. No school on Monday, April 18th. The next board meeting is May 18th. Graduation is May 22nd. Dan and I have vested interest in that one, for sure. May 27th is our last day of school. Next, we have miscellaneous.
Action for closed session to immediately precede the meeting in May, including any record or vote to discuss items issues allowable under section 610-021 of the Missouri Sunshine Law.
Second.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Ready? Think of my list here a minute. Wait a minute. Meredith Cole.
Can I just say yes?
Yes. Brian Hill. Dan Holloway.
Yes.
John Kern.
Yes.